Welcome to the Rookie SDR Show, where we talk to sales leaders who are making an impact within the software as a service industry. Here's your rookie host, Franklin Albonos.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rookie SDR Show. I'm here with one of a good friend. His name is Nick. He comes from a company called Pipl. Hey, Nick, how's it going today?
Pretty good. How's it going with you?
It's actually a little bit chilly down my way here in Lima, Peru. But other than that, everything's going good on my end. Where are you located?
So I'm in Post Falls, Idaho, but I can tell you that we're a lot colder.
Well, it looks very warm because of the sun is out right now, huh?
Yeah, there's a break in the clouds right now, but we had snow last night or the night before last, and lots of snow everywhere. Yeah, now it's rain, but blue sky, so it looks good.
Looks nice, actually. Speaking of blue, I love the quote. I love it. It looks nice. The people quote. It looks really cool.
Yeah, like people quote.
Nice. So yeah, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time today and coming into the Rookie SDR show. So yeah, I guess one of my first thing I always wanted to know, like, did you grow up where you are located right now? It seems like you moved quite a while as well. Like, or where are you actually from part of the U.S.?
So I'm mostly from the Pacific Northwest. But before my ninth grade year, my freshman year, I think I moved 14 times. So I always moved around a lot, like Seattle area, Southern California, but mostly in the like Seattle area. And now I've kind of settled down now with my wife, and we're pretty happy. We're in a smaller town in Sandpoint, Idaho, which is a resort town. It has a lake in this. I mean, we can chill out there in the summer, and then also has a ski hill. So in the winter you can go skiing. So a lot of fun stuff.
Nice, nice. And you mentioned that you have moved a lot as well, but at the same time, when I was reading your about me on your LinkedIn, when I first reached out to you, I was like quite impressed because it seems like I believe you major in business and then went along and found different jobs along those lines. Could you give us a little bit of description about your career path and way before we get into the SDR role?
Sure. Yeah. So my career path's kind of interesting. Like with school, like I started off with I did a whole bunch of things. I changed my major so many times that by the time I ended up with a business administration degree, I actually had enough credits to get a business management degree too. So I have two majors in business, and then I went after my my master's in business a few years later too. And that's my school part of it. And then, professionally, I've jumped all around the place.
And it's like, because I think you were doing some kind of research about entrepreneurship as well, I believe, right? And you were kind of like trying to find, see what I guess you will call it passion or somewhere along those lines.
Well, yeah. So my focus in my MBA was entrepreneurship, and part of that is just because even though I'm not an entrepreneur or a business owner, I've always been interested in that type of work, like people that own their own businesses and stuff. So it's just always something that's interests me.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you were working in a car dealership as well. You were working in some kind of marketing agency, and you have this whole entrepreneurial mindset. Like, what made you choose the SDR role out of all different roles out there that you could have chosen?
So it's kind of funny. So the SDR role kind of chose me. So in my bouncing around between different jobs and stuff, I actually worked for this company, Pipl, about 3 years ago, and I was an account executive, and I did it for about 9 months. It was really fun. Got to go to Israel and got to do a bunch of traveling, but then I actually lost my job because I didn't do a very good job at it. so then I left Pipl, and then I bounced around from there. I've had a lot of hats. I've been an office manager for my church. I've been a car salesman. I've been a bank manager or a credit union manager, loan officer. So, I've kind of bounced around, and but I kept, when I left People, I still had some friends here. And so what I did was I was reaching out to the HR person and asked her for a reference for another position, another company. And she's like, oh, well, you should try this SDR position. You'd be perfect. And I'm like, I don't know. You guys didn't like me before, so this probably doesn't look very promising. But then I was looking at the job role and stuff. I'm like, okay, this could be kind of cool. And yeah, it was really cool. Like they hired me right away, and it's just a really fun role. It's different than what I did before because the sales cycle is way shorter. So I really enjoy it, and I got to actually help create. I was like the first SDR at People, and then I got to help create the role as I was doing it. And so I've been able to just kind of roll with that, been able to onboard and help train all of the new SDRs. But when I started less than a year ago, I was the only SDR, and now we have 6. So we've grown quite a bit.
Wow, awesome. And I mean, you mentioned that you were doing some sales jobs as well at one point. Did that help you as well whenever you were making, like, let's say your first 100 calls?
Yeah, so I think honestly, like of all of my sales experience, the one that prepared me the most was selling cars. Because when you sell a car, you don't want the people to leave the lot. So a lot of people will blow you off and say, you give them a test ride, and you want to get them to sit down, fill out an application, make an offer. But a lot of people want to go home and go think about it, or they find any excuse to leave, like, oh, I think we're going to go to lunch and come back. And my job was to try to keep them there as much as possible. Like, hey, well, if you stay for just a little bit longer, let me just see if I can get you a really quick, offer here. But really just pushing past the no a lot, and then being able to, deal with unpleasant people. So I think car sales definitely helped me with where I'm at now.
Nice. And whenever you jumped into the SDR world, right? It's a huge different thing because the person's not in front of you, right? Just like you mentioned, the person is kind of like on the other side of the line. Like, what would you say is the coolest thing that you like about the SDR role? Do you like doing the calls more? Do you like sending out emails, or do you guys do as well video prospecting? So, what is your favorite part of it?
So all of that, but I think my favorite part is when I do get that meeting, I get to do like a quick demo. So I've created some different decks where it's kind of depending on the use case that I can tailor it towards the end user, and then really just asking those discovery questions and trying to vet them and trying to get as much information as I can, so that way I can set up the follow-up meeting with an account exec or something like that. But that's my favorite part. I love the one-on-one. I love the video chatting with people and getting to know them, getting to know what they're passionate about, and get them to tell me about their business.
Awesome. And so what would you say, because it's a pandemic and everything is changing around, so many things are happening around the globe, what would you say that is the number one thing that's working right now for you as an SDR to get meetings now?
For me to get meetings, I think it's a lot of it is just, like, for instance, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I'm always listening on how I can tweak a cadence or an email, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody says, one person might say, never use the prospect's first name in an email, and never do this, never do that. I think it's kind of a lot of A, B, and C testing. You got to find out what works for you. And for me, what really what makes me successful is being able to put like the emails in my own voice. So that way it doesn't sound like a cookie cutter type thing. I work with other SDRs and we'll collaborate and create our own, email templates, but just simple things like I don't say cheers at the end of an email, or I don't say best or best wishes or whatever. Like when I do a closing, like I'll say like talk to you soon or something, but that's my personality. And so I've noticed that when I put my personality in the emails, I have a way better return than if I just do like a cookie cutter one.
Nice. And whenever, like, let's say, like, you're doing your outreach as far as like cold calling goes, would you say that, getting somebody in the phone, it has dramatically like shifted, like versus like, let's say 6 months ago, people were mostly on the phone, but now 6 months to now, like, do you feel that, it's hard to get like decision makers on the phone nowadays?
So it's interesting in our world right now. We are just, even though I've been here a year, we're just now starting like a prospecting, out there prospecting, and part of that is because we have such a huge inflow of inside leads that are coming in, people that are on our site that want more information. We haven't been able to keep up. So I'm actually just starting the process of like cold calling again. When I first started, it was easy because they were already interested, they were on our site. So it was still kind of a warm lead. But now we're looking at different tools and stuff, scripting, and how we can move forward in our prospecting efforts.
Nice. And I'm just curious, what is it that does your company do? What is Pipl?
So we are the identity trust company, is what we say, right? So what we do is we make sure nobody pretends to be you. That's the simple way to say it. So with our product, we have like three main use cases. We have contact enrichment, investigation, and identity verification. And underneath those, it has a lot of different sub-use cases. So like identity verification, that's like, fintech and e-commerce. And then you've got investigation, which is law enforcement, private investigators. And then you have contact enrichment, which is like your marketing tech and your sales tech, and just anybody that's like trying to get that contact information of people. And so what we do is our product will either integrate into a company's like their own CRM, or we have a standalone product where you can put the information that you have in, and then we'll give you like a full customer report that gives you like contact information, social data, and stuff like that.
Nice. And you sort of moving backwards. You went from account executive and now into an SDR.
Yeah.
What is your career path here in the next 1 to 2 years? Do you see yourself going into that account executive role? Do you see yourself going into the customer success role, or what is that?
I know for me, I would like to do more of like an SDR manager role, and because I really am passionate about developing people and helping people and watching other people succeed. And we have so many great tools that I'd love just to be able to show people and try things. That's one thing that I really like about this role and this company is I can try a whole bunch of different things. So like recently I tried using like Vidyard and like doing some email cadencing and putting recording a message, which is the one I have is horrible. It's so bad, but I need to work on it. But just being able to try new things and think, okay, well, this works, okay, this doesn't, or maybe this works for this use case, and be able to pivot and make changes when we need to.
That's awesome. You mentioned video. I always like to use my board as a thumbnail whenever I send out a Vidyard video because you can edit that, right? But what made you decide to put that in your cadence, right, as far as sending out a video outreach?
Well, I just want to try something new because, I do a lot of research on like LinkedIn, and you hear about like cold FaceTime calling, which I don't know for sure if that was a thing or just a urban legend, but there's that whole thing. And then just looking at how cool like the Vidyard product is, I was like, not that I'm trying to plug them or anything. I just thought, well, what a great way to introduce yourself. And I actually had some people on LinkedIn that had sent me a video link, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's something different, and it kind of separates you from everybody else because it feels like everybody has the same idea. We all have email cadences. We all are doing the same thing, but I think it's these little things that kind of differentiate us from like our competitors. And I think that's what really sets us apart.
Nice. And would you guys ever go into TikTok?
I'm sure we would. So I would be super uncomfortable because I'm old and I might not look it, but I have 3 girls,
you look young,
and
man.
They're 13, 16, and 19, and they do TikTok and they do those things, and that's just not my thing right now. But a lot of the SDRs that I work with, they're a lot younger. They're probably more comfortable on that platform. But and in fact, actually, I was just talking to one of the SDRs today, and they were talking about actually recording a TikTok tonight for people for work. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to anything because, just anything that sets us apart, right?
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that I always like to ask is that what's the best advice that you could say to a new person jumping into the SaaS industry or someone that's looking into getting into the SDR role? What is the best advice that you could give them?
I would say the hardest part about the role is the prospecting. Is I would say just the calling. I mean, hands down, the calling, because it's it's live. You have to be able to think on your feet. My advice to people would be just to do it. Just start the calling. If you have a script, great. You could start with that to give you kind of an idea, but at the same time, just do it. I mean, the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to be, and not to take the reactions personally, because a lot of times, like I would get rejection, email or not emails, but on the calls, like they would be really like, "How do you called me at dinner time," and start yelling at me, and you take that personally, especially when they start calling you names. But what you have to do is you have to know your worth, know yourself, and just know that, hey, you know what? Maybe they're just having a bad day, and I called them at a bad time. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, you mentioned rejection, right? And like, how did you handle that? Like at the first, the first couple dials, the first couple emails, like the first couple outreaches that you're doing. Like, how did you handle when someone was like, "Hey, look, I don't have time for this. Take me off your list." Or even though you did some research on them and they seem like such a perfect fit, right? And then you reaching out to them and you're like, "I can definitely help this person out." Like, how did you handle that reaction?
I mean, the best way to handle it, the way I've handled it, is I kind of rolled with it. I mean, if they immediately were like cussing at me on the phone, which has happened, then I just figure, you know what, they're having a rough day. This maybe this isn't the right contact at that company. But then I just try to be apologetic and say, hey, I understand I interrupted your dinner. Could I call you back at a different time? Or if they just flat out are like, lose my number, take me off your list and hang up, then, I do that. I take them off the list and then move to the next one. But what I've learned is at first you take it really personally. You're like, oh man, I should have prepared more. I should have done this. I should have done that. And there's some truth to that, but at the same time, you don't want to just dwell in the negativity. You just got to pick up the phone and make the next call, because you might have one bad call and 3 no answers, but then maybe on that 4th or 5th call, somebody's going to answer, and then that's going to be your next meeting. So you just have to believe and focus in the good, and don't focus on any mistakes or anything negative, because if you bring that negativity and just treat your phone, like your calls, like they're a checklist, people can hear that tone, and they're going to know that, okay, well, I'm number 56 on his list, and they're not going to be interested. So just be confident, don't take those things personal, and then always be positive.
Awesome. Well, Nick, it was awesome having you here, in the Rookie SDR show. Thank you so much for giving all this amazing advice and all this feedback for the future SDRs that are coming into the role. How can people contact you if they need to reach out to you about Pipl, or if not, just to have a quick conversation with you? What's the best way of contacting you?
Yeah, the best way, honestly, is just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm only Nick at Pipl, and it's just Pipl. So LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm happy to talk to anybody, especially if it's not a sales, like you're not trying to sell to me or anything. I'm happy just to talk to people if they just want help with being an SDR, or if they just need some encouragement or something. I'm happy to jump on a video call, and help you guys out. So hit me up on LinkedIn. It's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for participating in the SDR show. It was fun having you guys, and until next time.